aja.
Hello. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Black Soul Well podcast. So glad that you're with us this evening. So glad that you are with us this evening on this Tuesday, November the 7th. Hey, once again, I want to welcome you to the Black Soul Well podcast. I am your host, Kirby Anthony. Our mission here at the Black Soul Well podcast is to lead the culture to mental and emotional health through faith and education. I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating in episode number 9. We are in episode number 9, a little bit over 2 months. I'm excited. I'm glad. Thank you for everybody that supports. Thank you for everybody that is a part, everybody that comes on. Hey, listen, if you're watching, I want to invite you to get in the comments. Let me know that you're watching. If you have any questions, feel free to place those in the comments, and I'll make sure that we're able to, or that we will get back with you. Hey, got a couple of details for you, and then we're going to go ahead and jump into tonight's show. First, I want to invite you to visit us online. You can visit us online at blacksoulwell.com. Once again, you can visit us online at blacksoulwell.com. If you have any questions or if you would like more info about what we do here, send us an email at blacksoulwell@gmail.com. Once again, that's blacksoulwell@gmail.com. Also want to invite you to connect with us on our social media platforms. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Shout out to everybody that's watching us on YouTube live right now. We're streaming live on YouTube. Simply go on either one of those platforms and check us out. The Black Soul Well podcast. Also want to invite you to support us by picking up some merchandise. You can pick up some merchandise like t-shirts. Let me show y'all one of the t-shirts that we have. This is one of our t-shirts, the Black Soul Well. Check that out. It'll make a nice Christmas gift. You go ahead and order them now at blacksoulwell.bigcartel.com. All right. So want to invite you to go there. We have some shirts. We have hats. We have some bags. We have some hoodies. You can definitely go there and help us to push the movement forward. Tonight, I want to, we're going to jump right into tonight's episode. I saw a story on, oh, you know what? Got one more announcement for you. Excuse me, y'all. Got one more announcement for you. I want to invite you to worship with Queen City Discipleship. You can worship with us online every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. for our weekend virtual teaching. We stream live on Facebook and on YouTube. All you have to do is go there and look for Queen City Discipleship. Look for our Queen City Discipleship pages. We stream live there. Right now we are meeting online, but we are getting ready to begin meeting again in person on Saturday evenings. There's more information coming about that. If you're here in the Charlotte area and you'd like some information on that, shoot us an email at queencitydiscipleship@gmail.com. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into tonight's episode, y'all, because tonight is kind of a tough episode. It's a tough episode because of how it came about. And, you know, one of my desires for this platform is to lead the culture, and specifically Black culture, to mental and emotional health through faith and education because of the unique challenges that we face in the Black community. And a couple of days ago, I saw a story on the news that deeply, deeply disturbed me. It actually moved me to tears. And I have the news clip. I'm going to share that news clip with you, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the show. So just give me one moment. We're going to get that news clip pulled up for you. And we're going to talk about this demonic rage, all right? All right, y'all.
I'm Brooke Katz. Doug is on assignment tonight. And first up, the family of a 3-year-old girl from Fort Worth who died says the system failed her. Her father is charged with causing the injuries that killed her. But as Andrea Lucia learned, she should have never been with her.
He just started punching her, punched her. She had a heart attack. She went into cardiac arrest.
Miranda and Matthew Malone say their 3-year-old niece, Elena, died at the hands of her father, Billy Joyner Jr., while her mother stood by.
Marissa was saying that the whole time that Billy was beating Elena, and he was fighting her like he was another grown man. She was just saying, "Daddy, I love you. I'm sorry, Daddy, I love you," and he was just wailing on her.
The older daughter, Haley, remembers my sister just saying, "Stop crying and he'll stop hitting you. Stop crying and he'll stop hitting you." So, you know, I don't understand. That's literally, I'm at a loss for words.
The little girl's relatives say Elena arrived at the hospital with 2 black eyes, a broken arm, bruises, a brain injury, and severe burns.
She was brutally beaten and tortured. Her last few moments of her life was awful. He tortured her.
Joyner has a history of assault. Court records show last year he's accused of choking Elena's mother, hitting her with a broom, and punching her. Later, he was charged with threatening a potential witness with a gun.
And let me be very clear. I want to make sure this is out there. He was not supposed to be in the home. He also had an ankle monitor.
2 months ago, a judge ordered Joyner could have that GPS device removed, and relatives suspected he was back at home abusing his children.
Family members started reaching out to CPS before the incident even happened. So the CPS was aware that there was something going on in the home.
But they just kept letting it happen.
CPS confirms it has a history with the family. This week, it placed 4 of Elena's siblings, all under the age of 5, in foster care. A spokesperson said the agency is investigating Elena's death, but couldn't comment further.
CPS told one of the family members at one point that we're harassing that family and that those kids are just fine.
Family members say Elena spent the first 2.5 years of her life being raised by her great-grandmother. Despite repeated abuse, her mother, they say, kept going back to her father.
We could not keep her away. I'm going to be honest.
While Elena lay in a hospital bed, relatives say her mother appeared in denial.
She kept saying, "There's hope, she's going to be okay. It's okay." And I'm like, no.
The hospital yesterday removed her life support. Within hours, her aunt says she was gone. In Fort Worth, Andrea Lucia, CBS 11 News.
Yeah, terrible, terrible story. I saw that story a couple of days ago on the news. And like I was sharing with you, that story brought great sadness to my spirit. It brought great sadness to my soul. If there's one thing that really burdens me and gets me down, it's when children are abused. It's when children are abused and when they suffer at the hands of adults, physical abuse, child abuse, physical abuse, child abuse. I hate that kind of stuff. And it doesn't just make me angry, but it makes me incredibly sad. And so when I saw that story, it deeply, deeply, deeply disturbed me. And stories like this, the reason that I wanted to talk about that tonight, or at least highlight that story, is because it's stories like that that are part of the reason that I started this podcast. Stories like that, because my heart And my hope is that some of the things that we share on this podcast will help someone get help. They'll help someone to take their emotional health, their mental health seriously, and they won't go forward and do something crazy like that. Now, I know that's a little bit of extreme, but guess what, y'all? It's happening. It's happening. Like I said a moment ago, our mission here, or our motto here, if you want to call it a motto, is leading the culture to mental and emotional health through faith and education. And this particular story breaks my heart. This particular story breaks my heart for different reasons. One, you have a child who suffered horrifically at the hands of her father, a 3-year-old child, who suffered horrifically at the hands of her father, was killed at the hands of her father because he had no discipline, he had no self-control, and he jumped on this child. It says that he beat her so bad that she went into cardiac arrest. And the thing that really broke my heart was the part of the story where the mother shared that as the father beat the child, she just said, "I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you. I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you." You know, that man will probably be tortured for the remainder of his days here on earth because of those words. Man, if God doesn't heal him and brings him some type of something to his mind to help him to navigate that, he is going to suffer for the rest of his life because of his anger and his demonic rage. Make no mistake, that was demonic. That was demonic. Make no mistake, that was demonic. And because of that rage, he beat this child. And all she could say out of her pure little heart was, "I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you." That breaks my heart. That part of the story breaks my heart. Another part that breaks my heart is the family. Is the family, because now you have the child's siblings that's going to suffer. You have the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the people that are broken. Listen, when a crime like that happens, it affects the whole community. It affects the whole community because you have neighbors that might see the child outside and wave at the child. You have the mailman that comes and puts the mail in the mailbox, and the child sees the mailman. You have all kinds of people. And so a crime like that, a tragic crime like that, affects the whole community. Then you have the mother. You have this mother who, for whatever reason, she refused to get away from this man, to stop this man from abusing her child, right? And then you have the father. You know, and something else that I want to touch on real quick. And you know, someone said that someone in the story mentioned that the system let the system let them down. The family said that the system let them down. And don't get me wrong, I totally understand that. But what we have to understand is that the system is not set up to be the superhero in all cases. The system is not going to be able to save everybody at all times. But definitely, listening to parts of their story, I can see why they would say that, because one of the aunts said that they had shared that some things were going on and Child Protective Services didn't go back into the home like they were supposed to. But you know who also let that family down? I think about what factors were in place that created this woman's mindset that she would stay with a man who was physically violent, and not just physically violent to her, but physically violent to his own offspring, to his own seed. What factors came together to create an individual that would stay in an environment like that? Because that whatever happened to cause her to stay in that environment, they let her down as well. They let her down as well. So it's not just Child Protective Services, but there's so much blame to go around. There's so much blame to go around. And then you have the situation of the father, right? You have this father. Now, this father is going to suffer. He's going to suffer for the remainder of his life. When he gets in prison, he's going to be violated. Eventually, he'll be violated, more than likely, unless he takes his life. He'll run up against some prisoners that'll find out what he did, or he'll run up against some guards that don't like him and just want to set him up, treat him wrong, treat him dirty. I mean, come on, y'all. Humanity is humanity. And away from the Spirit of God, man, we don't have strength. We need the Spirit of God and discipline to deal with this. And so homeboy is going to get violated more than likely. Eventually he'll get violated. And I'm going to tell you, he should suffer after a heinous crime like that, after beating your own daughter, a baby, a 3-year-old baby girl that can't even defend herself. And then she cries and says, "I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you. I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you." And the demonic rage just continued to flow out of him to where he beat that baby girl. Come on, man. He needs to suffer. He needs to suffer. But one of the things that sticks out at the forefront of my mind is this. What made the father so mad? What made him so mad? What made him act in rage like that? What would make a father so mad to where he would take out his anger to the point to where the child's uncle said that the mother said that while he was beating her, he was fighting her like a grown man? What would make a man so angry to the point to where he is fighting his own child, a 3-year-old child? What would make a grown man so angry, so rageful, just lose it, that he would fight his 3-year-old daughter like another man? The demonic. That's the only way that I can explain it. The demonic. Yeah, it's mental and health issues as well, but there are people that have mental and health issues that don't do that. It was demonic. He was so mad, for him to hear her screams, for him to hear her screams over and over and over again. "I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you. I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you." And he just continues to beat her and hit her in the head to the point to where she goes into cardiac arrest. The little baby had a heart attack, man. Baby girl had a heart attack. Stories like this break my heart. But what brings a sense of consolation is to know that according to my holy doctrine, in Yeshua's paradise, that little girl will be resurrected to life. That's what brings consolation, a part of peace to me. But sadly, even in tragedies like this, there are lessons that we can learn. And one of the questions to think about is, where is all this rage coming from? And that's where I wanted to talk about this rage where you have people that are so rageful, murdering and doing things and hurting people, harming people, strangers, their own families, this rage. If you look in society, we have a pandemic going on right now where young Black and brown men in our inner cities are killing each other like never before. Gun violence is at an all-time high across the board here in this country. Where is the rage coming from? Even here in Charlotte, North Carolina, a couple of months ago, a group of young men got in a car and went and shot up a house and killed, I believe the little boy was 2 years old in the house. They shot the house 150 times at night, and it was caught on neighbors' Ring cameras. Rageful. And I remember, look, I'm from the hood. All right. I know what the violence is like. I had a friend of mine shot point blank right in front of me. And I had my younger brother that was murdered, shot down in the streets due to gun violence. There were some other things that played into it. But I understand. I said that to say I understand how the hood is and how the hood can get. But when you talk about some dudes going up to a house and letting off 150 shots, just 150 shots. I mean, the rage, where is all the rage coming from? Where is it coming from? What feeds it? And how does it lay dormant within us and until it abruptly comes out and it's too late? And that's what I want to talk to tonight. If you know somebody that's struggling with anger, that's struggling with rage, forward them this video. Tag them in the comments if you're watching on social media. Tag them, because this demonic rage will take your life. It'll destroy your life. And see, the devil, he uses people like puppets. And so you will get mad and do something and go crazy. And then 30 minutes, an hour, the next day, you crying. You're crying when you come down and your adrenaline kind of comes down. And you're like, oh my God, what did I do? Oh man, I ruined my life. Yeah, you ruined your life. That demonic rage, the demonic rage. Look, I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you about some coping strategies. Some coping strategies when you're dealing with the anger, all right? Some coping strategies when you're dealing with the anger. And I want to say this. If you're watching tonight, go ahead and hit that share button. Hit that share button if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, when we're all said and done, go ahead and copy the link, send it to somebody. If you know somebody that deals with anger, you know someone that has an anger problem, anger issues, you go ahead and send this to them. We got some coping strategies. I'm going to share some tools and resources with you before we leave, all right? So the CDC, you know, the Center for Disease Control, the CDC.gov, if you go on there and search for coping with anger, they have some coping strategies for dealing with anger and rage, right? I want to go over these and just share them with you. It's 5 of them. One of them, it says, take a calming breath. Even a 5-minute break can make a difference. You know, take a calming breath. All right. So it's talking about breathing exercises where you just. I remember years ago hearing about a breathing exercise where you breathe in, let it out, and count to 10 in your mind. And then you do that 4 times. Someone shared that with me years ago. And it does work. It helps us to gain control of our thoughts and to be mindful before we just fly off the edge. All right. So taking a calming breath. Here's the second one. Acknowledge how you're feeling. It's okay to not feel okay. You know, we have to take time to care for ourselves, right? You know, it's okay to acknowledge where we are or how something makes us feel. It's okay to acknowledge that I'm not feeling okay right now, that this is making me angry. It's okay to acknowledge that, you know, and we need to learn communication skills so that we can let people know. We can let people know. Years ago, I had a leader share something with me that was so powerful to me. And they were teaching me. I was explaining to them, let me back up a little bit. I was explaining to them how that someone else's actions really made me upset. And, you know, I am a dude from the hood. I've been walking with Christ for a long time. And he's been over the years that I've been walking with him, he has been faithful to bring men into my life and women, in addition to his Holy Spirit and reading his word to shape me and to help me to grow, and etc. And so I was speaking with this gentleman, and I was explaining to them how someone else had did something that I did not like, And it was making me mad to the point like I wanted to, you know, when you get mad, sometimes we go back to where we came from. And I was explaining to them, if my memory serves me correctly, that, you know, it's almost like, you know, when you're a man, look, no matter you serving God or what, you know, if you feel disrespected, you ready to do something to somebody so that they'll stop that, to let them know that it's real in the battlefield. Don't you ever talk to me like that. And I was explaining it to a mentor. And one of the things he said to me, this isn't super profound, but at the moment it was for me. He said, you need to let him know. He said, go back to him and talk to him and let him know this right here. This is that man to man stuff that fathers need to teach their sons. He said, you look him in his eye and you tell him this. Listen, last time you said this right here, whatever it was, I felt very, very disrespected. And you're not going to do that anymore. Because if you do, we're going to have a problem. And I remember when he said that, I was like, wow. Like it was like light bulbs came on in my head, because like I said, no one had ever shared that with me before. I had came from a culture where, yo, it's like somebody crossed that line. You what? Well, yo, what's up? Yo, what you say? Nah, bust you, man. You know, nobody had ever really taught me how to really handle business like a stand-up guy. And so he said, this is what you do. He said, you have to learn, Kirby, how to let people know. Like when somebody crosses the line and you feel yourself getting angry, communicate to them. Communicate to them, whether you pull them to the side, whether you kind of go up to them and kind of whisper in the ear, whatever the case is. Hey, listen, look, I'm going to give you a pass because you may not know, but the way you said what you said was very, very disrespectful. And you're not going to do that again, because if you do, we're going to have a problem. All right. So it's okay to acknowledge how you feel, and it's okay to let people know. Don't go off. You don't have to go crazy, get ratchet and savage and start flipping over. How many times we see videos of people getting mad in grocery stores and restaurants, and they start knocking over merchandise and everything because they get mad and they don't know how to control their emotions. Don't do that, but acknowledge how you're feeling. And it's okay to explain, like, look, I don't like this. Here's another one. Here's number 3. Create a daily routine to increase feelings of control. Create a daily routine. Because when you feel like you're in control, and it helps you to keep anger and stress at bay. It helps you to keep stress at bay, which feeds into anger. It says, create a daily routine to increase feelings of control. Prioritize healthy eating habits, sleep, and exercise whenever possible. So now we're talking about the biological side of things. What can I do for my body, to my body, for my mind? These are things that we can do. Create a daily routine. Number 4, this is a big one right here. Monitor your social media use and limit time on the news. Man, I can't front. That's a big one for me. Monitor your social media use and limit time on the news. And I'm talking about the time on the news, because that time on the news piece, whoo, that's a big one for your brother. Because, you know, it's so much foolishness in our governmental leadership right now on both sides of the fence. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, a conservative or a liberal, whatever, no matter what type of political ideology you follow, you know, people on both sides of the fence acting crazy, doing stupid stuff, doing all kinds of stuff. And if you feed on that stuff too much, man, you'll start to get angry. You'll find yourself arguing with people, arguing with coworkers, arguing with friends, and etc. Look, sometimes we just have to pull back from that, all right? And then the 5th one is this right here. Seek help from a professional if your anger becomes overwhelming or feels unmanageable, right? Seek help from a professional if your anger becomes overwhelming or feels unmanageable. Talk to your doctor about how you're feeling. Go and talk to somebody. Talk to some elders. Talk to your mother. Talk to your godmother. Talk to your auntie. You know, maybe at your job, they have certain avenues that you can tap into in order to get help. There's nothing wrong with that, because see, what you're doing is you're taking the initiative to get ahead of this thing before something big happens. That's what you're doing. All right. It's kind of like a car engine. You know, when we have problems with our vehicles and we know that it's a little problem there, maybe we hear a little noise, or maybe we see a little leak, or whatever the case is, and we keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And then what happens? It turns into a bigger problem. And then we sit back and we're like, man, if I would have just went ahead and took care of it 6 months ago or 3 months ago, whatever the case is, we wouldn't be here right now. All right. So let's deal with this anger. Let's not let this anger turn to rage. And especially when it comes to our kids, man. Look, when I heard that story earlier, it made me cry, man. That thing made me cry. I literally cried when I heard how that little girl, all she could say was, "I'm sorry, Daddy. I love you, Daddy." Because in her mind, she was trying to escape the pain and the brutality of what was happening. That thing broke my heart, man. It breaks my heart now to even thinking about it. Like, we can live in such a cruel, cruel world, man. Such a cruel world, man. And it's a shame that we ignore what's happening internally, not realizing that we're going to snap. I heard another story. This was about a month or so ago, about a man who was playing his game. He was playing, you know, he was a gamer, I guess, or whatever. And his son accidentally turned the game off. And he got up and hit the boy so hard that he killed him, man. A little toddler. And I say to myself, how in the world, and look, I'm not judging anybody, but come on, man, we can't get so animated and angry and rageful and out of control to where we're getting mad and taking out our anger on our children because we're stressed. We're taking out our anger on toddlers because we're stressed, and beating them because we're stressed. There's no glory in that. There's no glory in that. And I'm going to tell you something, man, he needs to get violated when he goes to prison. That man needs to get violated when he goes to prison. And I know I'm a man of God, and, you know, I'll ask God to deal with my heart and help me. But that man needs to get violated for what he did to his own daughter. He already going to suffer mentally and emotionally. But, man, look, that man, when I say violated, I'm not going to even go into details, but I'm just saying, man, and maybe it's not the healthiest thing to say, but just emotionally right now, I just, you know, thinking about what that little baby suffered the last few moments of her life. Somebody need to put hands on that fool, you know? And I'm going to tell you something, man, it's terrible, but we need to, and especially as Black men, you know, we need to, as fathers, as single men, get control of your anger, get control of your emotions, and stop buying into this lie that, you know, you gotta go off and be crazy, and a real man, you know, pulls his gun out and hits somebody. A real man, you know, shoots somebody. A real man just goes off because, you know, I go off up in here, you know, and all that. That ain't cool. Why do we glamorize that kind of stuff? Why is it in the Black community we glamorize that type of foolishness and that type of ignorance? Don't get me wrong. Look, I'm from the hood. There was a time when, yeah, you know, I would get ignorant. I would do stupid things. And I know sometimes, you know, that's how it is. But why is that? Why do we feed into that? You know, why are we known? Why are we as Black men? We're known as the ones that if we get angry, we're gonna air it out. We're gonna air this thing out. I'll air this whole thing out. You know, like, we just go crazy, man. We gotta stop feeding into this stuff and buying into some of these toxic ideologies of what a real man is, and a real man is just gonna get angry and just go off. We gotta stop that. So look, bottom line, only you can take the initiative to develop your mental and emotional health and well-being. Only you can take the initiative for that. You got to get it straight. You got to get it straight. Set aside time for it. Be honest with yourself. And when you see red flags within yourself, don't ignore them. Get help. Get help. Get help. I want to challenge you too. If you're a single man, get help now. If you don't have any kids, get help now, because you want to be as whole as possible so that when you start creating people and bringing little ones into the world, they ain't got to deal with that nonsense. You can alleviate some of that nonsense. So get help now. Get help now, man, because you don't want to pass on certain things to the next generation. None of us will ever be perfect, but get help. Make it a priority. Listen to this. Refuse to only see getting to the bag or chasing the bag as the only pursuit that's worthy of your attention. You know, one of the things that Black people, one of the things we have done really well, you know, is that we have learned how to get to that bag. I mean, there are so many podcasts now that teach us Black folk about, you know, the stock market, you know, how to, you know, navigate through the stock market, how to start businesses, whether it's the trucking business, getting into the vending machine game. I mean, you know, we already had sports locked down for so long. That's what we were known for years and years and years and years, right? You know, you from the hood or something, you gonna get out the hood and play basketball, play football, baseball, whatever the case is, or you could fight, you could box, you know, something like that. Well, now, you know, it's so much information out there that we can so many podcasts out there. There's so much information out there, man, you know, teaching us about equity and how to use the equity in our homes, you know, to pass wealth on to the next generation. There's so much stuff out there to help us to grow and to help us to learn, right? To help us to get to the bag. But don't be so focused on getting to the bag that you don't take care of the insides. You don't take care of your soul. You don't take care of your mind. You don't get your mind right, because how many people get to the bag and then end up doing something stupid, and then they can't enjoy the bag? Think about it. They can't enjoy the bag because they've done something crazy and now they're locked up, or they never dealt with certain things inside of them, never really dealt with their mental and emotional well-being. And so it causes them to go off into other areas, and now they can't really enjoy the bag because who they were creating the bag for is no longer there. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to take the initiative to take care of ourselves. Look, build wealth like I'm doing, like me and my wife are doing. Build wealth, make a better life for you and yours, especially people of color. Look, I can dig it. You know how it is. We know where we stand. So build wealth, but also learn to deal with inner issues and problems and be proactive about it, and refuse to avoid dealing with issues until they explode and become toxic. All right, do that. And this is the final thing. Become an active part of a support system that helps one another. All right, don't just be the type of person where you have people to support you, but you're not an active part of that. No, be an active part of a support system, you know, because we have a culture that's so cool with you just getting what you can get, and then that's it. You know, no. Be an active part of a support team, all right, that helps others out, okay? All right, look, got a moment of inspiration for you. I want to share this moment of inspiration, and then I'm going to come back and give you some resources and some closing thoughts, all right? So enjoy this spoken word piece titled Tears. Tears, a small representation of a larger explanation of something that's brewing within a place that isn't privy to everyone's eyes. And yet the story they speak gives us a peek of what's happening on the inside, fueling moving parts that come together to provide a picture of what may be too hard to describe. So I just let the tears flow, y'all. Sometimes it's just a few ounces of liquid descending from my eyes as the moving parts of my tear ducts combine with what's being rehearsed in my mind, and as a result, I cry. And sometimes the tears are a culmination of hard work, hope, and faith coming together to celebrate that our prayers have been answered and that God was listening and my pain won't be in vain. So I lift my voice in joy because I won't be destroyed, and the tears just flow. Sometimes I can't explain why I'm crying, and I think maybe my emotions are cleansing themselves and I'm just having a moment. I've accepted that it's okay to live here, but this is not a place where I want to be frozen, so I've chosen to fully embrace my time here, realizing that there may be some hidden nuggets of wisdom deep within this complicated system called my soul. God is helping me to know that as long as I walk this earth, difficulties may grow, but His love will never be overthrown. Even when the aching in my heart feels overgrown, like grass in a lot that's abandoned, where stray dogs are stranded and criminals flash cannons, I'm caught in the great in-between the day when God will right every wrong and the day of the redeemed, and the treachery of sin that interrupts every dream and invades every scene. The reality of being a human being. Sometimes the tears flow because of human seeing the pain of brothers and sisters around the world increasing, unjust death, unprovoked beatings, bullying, human trafficking, kids not eating, illiteracy increasing when the answers found in reading. So many souls are defeated. God, will there ever be a time when tears are a thing of the past? Will there ever be a time when life won't be such an incline? The answer will be seen in time, what scriptures call the end time. An end for some, but for others a new beginning. Revelations 21:4 shares this sentence: He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. The old order of things have passed away. My soul longs for that day, like someone lost in a cave that craves to be saved. So lift your head, because hope has come today in the form of God's Son, who breaks the curse, causing mental chains to be reversed. God's love is dispersed over the earth and helps to combat all these tears. God bless. Peace. Yes, y'all. Yes. So tears. I hope that little spoken word piece encouraged you. I hope it encouraged you. Tears. There's a purpose for our tears. God sees our tears according to our holy doctrine, and He helps us. And He helps us to navigate those situations where tears flow, those sadful tears. And so look, y'all, I hope that tonight's broadcast really helped you. If it did, I want to hear from you. I want you to get in the comments. I want you to email us. But before we go, I wanted to give you some information. I wanted to give you some resources if you're dealing with anger, okay? So if you give me a few minutes, I'm just going to pull them up. I'll have them right on the screen first. If you're dealing with anger issues, rage issues, check out Safe Horizon. The number's right there. The number it's a 24-hour hotline. So 1-800-621-4673, 1-800-621-4673. This is an organization that helps victims and survivors of violence and other crimes to find safety, support, and connection. But it also, they've expanded their outreach to help people that are dealing with rage and anger. And so if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling rageful, you can call them. I also want to tell you about the Black Mental Health Alliance. The Black Mental Health Alliance. If you go to blackmentalhealth.com, you'll be able to find some resources that can help you, not just with anger, but other issues that you may be walking through as it relates to your mental and emotional health. The blackmentalhealth.com, it specifically helps people of color, Black people with our unique needs. And I also put the phone number up there, 410-338-2642, 410-338-2642. There's one more that I want to give you. Give me 1 second. It's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI.org. NAMI.org. All right. Sorry that it's not up on the screen, but if you're watching, you can take that down. NAMI.org. The National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's a website filled with resources for getting help on mental and emotional issues, and it'll help you with your anger, okay? So do the work, y'all. Do the work. If you're out there struggling, go ahead and do the work. You can do it. You can grow past this. You can find freedom. You can change your family around. Last but not least, if you're dealing with any type of suicidal thoughts, wanted to put this number up here, the National Suicide Hotline. It's on the screen right now, 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255. Website is suicidepreventionlifeline.org, suicidelifeline.prevention.org, all right? Look, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I would love to hear some feedback. You can email us at blacksoulwell@gmail.com or get in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you have any prayer requests, you can definitely put them up there, because we're men of God over here. We're children of God over here. And we believe in faith and education, all right? I hope that you have a great week. Be safe. Grace, peace, and power.